And we're live.
Okay, perfect. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the second, what is it? What day is it? It's the 15th of February website website redesign initiative meeting on the 15th of February 2018. Let's get started. Let's do a little roll call. I think we have the time for that. So everyone just apologies if I'm speaking like quietly. I'm sitting in like a public space, so I'm trying to not be too loud.
You're fine.
It's okay. We can hear you loud and clear.
That's cool. That's the most important thing. I'll start. My name is Olivia. I am the community committee champion for this initiative. OE on GitHub. Yeah. Okay, Tierney.
I am Tierney Siren. I'm probably showing up as Node.js Foundation because I'm hosting the live stream, but I'm co-chair of the community committee, and I'm a developer advocate at NodeSource.
Okay, Adam.
Hi, my name's Adam Miller. I'm a community committee observer and a software engineer at LinkedIn.
Okay, Manil.
Hi, I'm Manil. I'm a community observer, and I'm a developer out of Vancouver, British Columbia.
Are you a member at this point? I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe you're a member.
Mm-hmm. It just happened very recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Okay, Frederick.
Hi, I'm Frederick, and I'm working on the website.
And Jeremiah. If you can speak, because we can't hear you, just in case.
We might not be able to hear him.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah,
there we go. Jeremiah Sinkfield, Node.js TSC, engineer at NodeSource, and kind of just waiting around to actually get some work done in the future and that kind of thing.
Cool. Okay. We've got that done. Let's go over to the agenda. We have 4 items on our agenda today. Just like to differentiate this from the last meeting, we've kind of switched over from just putting text items on that to actually associating them with an existing GitHub issue, which is what I think most other working groups and committees do. It's kind of better for tracking, kind of better for following up on things. So we have 3 from our own repository and 1 from the community committee, which Tierney brought in. Let's start with the first one, which is content structure. We've discussed this in the last meeting as far as I know, but after that Frederick created an issue. So maybe you want to like fill us in on whatever you would like to present regarding this topic, I'm assuming.
Yeah, for the at first I just compiled the current website structure and even found some parts which are not currently linked. So we even have more content that we are actually showing on the website. We have the knowledge base, which is currently not visible on the website, with lots of articles. And I just started to put labels on the different parts of the website to get a rough structure what a new information architecture could possibly look like.
And I would like to say that we should also probably make sure we're including the subsites that we have, because it's a super useful thing that almost nobody knows about, and it's a huge waste for us to like have that data and not really be able to share it publicly or visibly. I don't know if that's involved in here. Oh wow, yeah, that's massive. There's stuff there, but yeah, that I know that stuff isn't super visible. So,
do we have a list of those subsites somewhere?
They're in my brain. I don't know if there's actually a list like anywhere. I can pull them into this issue. Like I can brain dump.
You mean like the benchmarking microsite?
So benchmarking metrics. There's at least 1 or 2 others that I can't think of right now.
I found out recently from you that we have a store.
That's store. Yep.
Yep.
We do?
Yep, there's store.node.js. Yeah, I
That's
love
a
that
new
you
thing,
know
though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's store.nodejs.com. So, oh wait, is that right? Or org, not com. Yeah,
that's fun. Isn't that a new thing though? Isn't that like not even officially launched yet?
so it's officially launched. It's just not really officially advertised much, as far as I know.
Yeah,
and if it wasn't officially launched, then it's now on YouTube. So
we also have the test coverage website.
Yep, and the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like an embedded form or embedded Google Calendar, but like you could nodejs.org/calendar, and it gives you the calendar of public meetings. So yeah.
Okay, it would definitely be very cool if we could like track that in the issue, which subsites we have.
I'm trying to write down all the ones that we just mentioned. I don't actually know. There's code coverage. Cool.
No hurries. Like if you don't remember all of them, just I'm sure we can find them somehow.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
Sweet.
Perfect. Okay. So I see Adam has already kind of made a lengthy or little lengthy proposal for a redesigned sort of, I'm assuming, menu structure is what you posted, Adam?
Yeah, so it's kind of the intent of the top level of the IA. So the main nav links that you'll see up at the top, and then down below, kind of iterating off of Frederick's proposal up at the top, just some small tweaks on where things would fall under in this other content structure. And for the most part, I don't think I missed anything, or we missed anything from the very comprehensive IA breakdown of the main site up top. We kind of, unless somebody can poke holes in it, which please do, all the pages currently on the site can fit into these verticals that were discussed in this ticket. Now we'd have to see where these microsites can also be shimmed in, but I'm not horribly worried about that looking at what's here. Tierney, the calendar link that you posted doesn't seem to go anywhere.
That's weird. Yeah.
Wait, doesn't it? That is weird. Usually works for me.
Did it? Yeah.
Wait.
Did I spell it wrong? It's weird if I entered it without just by typing it.
I can post the wall link, like it's this one, but it should be redirecting from Node.js.
Yeah, that's weird.
Calendar. Oh no, it does work.
Take off the trailing slash.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, that's weird.
That's fun.
Okay, cool. So we have. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody else has thought about or tried to poke holes in this plan. But it might be nifty to start trying, if we can get general consensus on moving forward. Wireframes would be awesome to see, to actually, in a process-oriented way, figure out if there's any holes in this structure that or needs it doesn't meet.
Yeah, definitely. Does anyone have like experience with wireframing tools? Because I don't. Or something like that.
I've either used Illustrator, or there's an online tool you can use for free. I always forget what it's called. I just Google online wireframing tool. Wireframe.cc also works pretty well if you don't have the Adobe suites on your computer. I'm sure you could also use Sketch for wireframing as well. Yeah. So those are kind of the three that I've used in the past.
So I will just raise something from experience here, some like tribal knowledge. we generally try to do things that are accessible to most people. So like not using Adobe Illustrator or Adobe Suite products, just because it's not super accessible and it kind of makes the barrier a little bit higher to contributing. That said, I don't, I think that should be up to this group, and it shouldn't need to be influenced by outside groups. But I did just want to make sure that y'all had that context.
Yeah, well, if we do choose to move on to wireframing, we have some process things that we're going to have to work through and struggle through, because none of the tools that I just named are collaborative.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll essentially just be posting exported JPEGs to GitHub issues.
Yep.
And yeah, I have not been part of a remote design effort before personally, so I can't say from experience what processes may or may not work well here.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
It seems like Balsamic works on Google Docs.
Yeah.
But it says free trial, so.
So we need to get wireframes done in what, 7 days?
Oh, it's a full month, so it's very generous.
Oh, well, wonderful.
We could also probably talk the foundation into paying $9 a month for that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So if anyone wants to like try and kind of transpose the structure that Adam posted to a mock-up of some kind, that'd be cool. And then just post that in the issue or make a new one. Doesn't matter.
Okay. I do think I know he's not in the meeting. I think it was a little too short notice for him. But I know Timothy would probably be interested in helping out with that.
Okay.
He already sent me a little bit of a brief design like template, just that he was kind of spitballing on ideas. So I know he might be willing to help with that.
That's cool. So we should probably like announce it in the issue.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anything else regarding this point?
Let's make can we make an action item for getting, well, Balsamic looks like an awesome tool. Make sure we start an issue for getting Balsamic set up and getting a Google Doc set up where we can all collaborate on here.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's okay. That's an agenda item, or like action item. Cool. Then, if that's it for this agenda item, let's go on to issue number 9, which is getting started with Node. Yeah, number 9. Wait, I can actually link it. There we go. Which is getting started with Node, which was posted by Doof. I don't know if I'm spelling that right, but unfortunately they're not here today. I don't think. No. But basically the issue is about adding sort of a beginner-friendly getting started section for Node.js, which as far as I know, as far as my experience with the website goes, isn't very much there currently. It's like one page, just a server example or something.
Yeah. I think that there's, in Adam's structure, there's definitely, in the learn section, there's getting started. And I do think we really need to take care of that. I think one thing that I've been seeing people do more of recently, and this is kind of one of the reasons I brought up the messaging discussion, is that's another agenda item. Node is so versatile that like it's scoping it down to a web server or scoping it down to a command line app, or that doesn't work. There's too many things you can do with Node, and so having a few different ways to get started, like some of the things we see most commonly, would probably be most beneficial for us. I think that could all fit in that getting started section.
Yeah, I agree. So there was also oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. In the knowledge base that was provided by Nojitsu, there's already a chapter getting started about control flow, globals, how to debug Node applications, NPM, what is Node core versus userland, and stuff like that. So we already have content. It's not displayed on the website yet.
Okay. I didn't know that was donated by them. Okay.
It was, but I think a lot of that content is going to be wildly outdated now because it was written like 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty old. But I think it might provide us even just a good structure for that kind of content, and then we can kind of pull the bits that are relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, there may be, we should also keep an eye out for holes in that information and maybe get some of our friends who are just beginning their development careers to go through the docs and see how it looks to a fresh pair of eyes.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we have the burden of prior knowledge.
Yes.
Maybe we can also reach out to people from Node School because they're working with beginners every day. So maybe they have ideas on the getting started part.
Yeah, and I think another thing that we should definitely make sure to include, and I don't think we need to do this at the beginning here, but we should have it on our radar of working with the foundation on certification material, and just making sure we have at least bits covered, even if it's just what they provide for it. Making sure we have that content would be helpful in general.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd love for that issue to keep having resources linked there and hopefully have it turn into I'd love to see a full curriculum, essentially, start to finish, get fleshed out. And we may have all the content that we need already, just scattered across the site. But yeah, having that movement.
Not too sure about that, but I'm sure we
largest. Yeah, it's going to be one of the most content-heavy sections of the site.
Yeah.
So it's going to require a little bit of writing on our part.
Yeah, and I don't think we should try to approach it as content complete when we launch.
No.
It's going to be a long-term thing, and honestly, I think it'll be a good way to get more people involved in helping with the website and the project in general. So,
yeah.
Okay, cool. So, do we want to pull an action item out of this? Maybe
I'd like to actually branch off of this conversation too. If we're
okay.
I forget where. Should have added this as a agenda item. Sorry, I'm actually not seeing an issue for it anymore. I know there was an issue open somewhere about interactive code on the site, interactive code demo.
That is in the same issue. That is in the very same issue. That's in issue 9.
And there I am talking about it in there. How do we feel about that? What's prior experience with services like Glot or
definitely
database services?
My sort of experience is one of the sort of points I like the most is the Haskell side. I don't know if anyone's ever been there, but Haskell sort of it's just traditionally very intimidating language, and I think they have an interactive command line tutorial with custom commands and stuff, which makes it very approachable in my opinion. Node doesn't have that same reputation, I don't think, but it might still be nice just to kind of get some early concepts of callbacks and promises and stuff across maybe.
Yeah, I think it'll certainly help. Sorry.
Do we want to allow to link npm packages?
That's a good question.
Because I think we should be careful with that, or with the REPL in general, because of security issues.
Yeah.
Nobody can use the REPL to DDoS a website or whatever.
So I do think that this is there's a few approaches that we could take on this. One is literally embedding something like a HackerRank, or not HackerRank. Is that there's some code sandbox code tool that you can do for that. There's also, we can just kind of mock instead of actually do running another node process. I think that this is probably going to take a lot of effort on our part just to figure out exactly the best path.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's hard because Node, I guess we would need to see how server-side tools do it more consistently and how they actually, the implementation details, not just the visual or the interactive side, but the implementation of okay, are they putting this in a container? Are they actually running like Python in the browser? Like, how are they going about doing this? I think that's, the kind of overall theme, or the ones that we feel work the best, is probably the approach we should take, if there's a consistent kind of theme that they all take with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Generally, I think that would be a good sort of place to just kind of ask around, see around how other people, how maybe other projects within Node do it. Yeah.
And if we can not create our own solution for this, that would be probably wonderful, and more secure in the long run.
Yeah.
So if there's companies out there that provide these that might be willing to donate to this, or if they're free, that would be.
And I mean, Code Academy is also another one that does similar things. And I know they've never had a Node.js course, much to my dismay. So that might be, another way for us to kind of work with them on that. And maybe even get that like a course for that into Code Academy, if we're embedding it in the Node site.
Yeah, we could co-author a learning path with them.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, that's definitely sort of maybe we can actually put that out into its own issue, just kind of like researching a little bit. Let's do that.
That certainly deserves its own issue.
Add that as an action item to create an own issue for that. Does anyone want to take that on?
I can make the issue.
Okay, cool. Right. Then, okay, let's do, if nobody else wants to talk about this issue number 9 anymore, then we can go on to a third agenda point, which is, should we attempt an update of official Node.js messaging, which was brought in by Tierney and is in the community committee, not in our repository, issue number 242. So Tierney, if you want to take the lead on that.
Yeah. So just a quick brain dump of kind of where this came from. The Node.js website has had this pretty similar messaging for years and years now, like since well before it was in the foundation, about, being a single-threaded, platform that, you can run JavaScript on the server side with. And that messaging, I think we've kind of outgrown that. We probably outgrew that like 5 or 6 years ago. But, I don't think anyone's paid much attention to that, or at least not significantly enough to really have to figure out what comes after it. And so, like I was kind of saying earlier with, how Node is so expansive and can do so much at this point, I kind of feel like we need to have a little bit of a cleaner introduction to, hey, this is Node, you can do this, or whatever that intro statement is, that header hero statement, I don't know, whatever you'd call it.
Just the one that's on the website right now, because the one that's on the website doesn't like mention threading or anything.
Well, that's an iteration of the older one, but it still does mention like event-driven, non-blocking I/O model that makes it lightweight and efficient. I don't know. I don't feel like that really, like, to someone who's trying to get started with Node, that doesn't really say much. I mean, unless they're like an extremely experienced programmer who understands different like blocking I/O and a non-event-driven model. That would mean something, but I think saying something more generic would probably be more effective for us in the long run. I don't know. That's just my kind of thoughts on it, and I'm totally open to critique of that.
Yeah, I agree personally. I think like it's thrown me off when trying to explain what Node is to other people multiple times.
Right.
Like,
and
hey, I mean, what is this? It's like, oh, I don't know. Non-blocking.
Sorry, we should really be able to say like whatever we describe Node as is what this should say. Kind of, I guess how I would approach that.
That blurb on the main Node page for a lot of friends who are just starting out has been a very big hurdle to get past, even just that first paragraph.
Yep.
Because if you haven't been working with computers your entire life, a lot of those words don't mean a lot to you.
Yep.
So looking at the kind of de facto new developer website, W3 Schools, Node's described as Node is an open source server framework. Node.js allows you to run JavaScript on the server. Good. So I don't know if we want to go quite as simple as that, but I think definitely coming up with a more pithy, more, I guess, marketing and marketing focused and open and accessible description.
Yeah.
Certainly be helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And I know it was mentioned in that there's, in that issue, Miles mentioned that there's quite a few stakeholders, the foundation, the TSC, the website itself. There's quite a few people who have input into this or should have input. I don't think we necessarily want to go down the path of design by committee. I think we should try to get a few proposals and then push it from there. But I guess for the website redesign, is this something that this team would be interested in taking on? I'd like to report back to the ComCom whether or not this team would be interested in taking that on as part of the kind of ongoing work that's being put into this. And that would include, inviting probably a member of the foundation into one of the meetings and kind of discussing it a little bit. But the ComCom can try to figure out what to do with it outside of the website redesign.
I think it's a little bit more than just the blurb on the front page. We already discussed this in a website issue. There are two resources coming from MailChimp. One's their style guide, and they have a separate website, Voice and Tone, where they describe how they do brand communications and what kind of voice and tone they use for different situations. And it's really an exceptionally cool guide for all kinds of situations, how to communicate and how to have a unified voice for the entire brand. So this should...
I definitely agree with that. And there's actually existing content that I helped work on, or I might have written entirely. I don't remember. In the evangelism repo, specifically social media style guide. I'll paste it in the Zoom chat, but it can probably be abstracted a little bit. It's more about general writing and language and things like that. With examples. So I got quite a bit of feedback on this when myself and Minwoo worked on it. So this is just something that I think we have a baseline for and kind of iterate or at least use some kind of existing structure from it. But you're entirely correct that we need something more than just that kind of core message.
Yeah. So oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that from an external point of view, redesigning the website, the assumption might be that everything has changed. So if the messaging were to be updated, it would seem very natural to people who would use it in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed. So is this something that we as a collective group would be interested in taking on? Like if it does include stuff like maybe a general guide on how to use voice and tone and stuff like that, I think that would be also more within our realm, since we'd have to make a site for it. Mm-hmm. We can still communicate with stakeholders, external people, maybe even the community, the greater community. What do they think that Node.js should be described as? Would also be, I think, interesting to know. I think we could do it. I'm not sure about everyone else. What do you think?
I think it belongs here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will make a note. Does anyone have an objection? Let me put that first. No? Okay. So I'll make a note of that in the issue. And also note the existing guide and note that we kind of agreed that this should probably be more of a voice and tone style guide that also addresses that, single line. One thing I will say is that going into a full kind of style guide, we will definitely need to make sure to coordinate pretty heavily with the foundation, just to make sure it doesn't step on toes there, and that they're buying into it as well. I don't think there will be an issue there, but I just again wanted to make sure everything that'll come up is probably is known well. So, cool.
Perfect. So you do that, and then I think we're done with this point. So let's go on over to our last. Honestly, I don't even. Does anyone want to talk about the components library stuff? Because
I think it's too early.
Yeah, me too.
So, I think it's worth saying that we as a group, and please raise your hand and object if you disagree, think it's too early, or agree that it's too early to start going into implementation details, specifically around libraries to use, tools to use to help us kind of make the website better. That's not to say that we're not looking forward to that time when it is, when we do go address those. But we have other things that we need to prioritize first before digging into that level. Because that'll, if we start getting into that now, we'll start slowing down a bit. And we really do want to kind of push this forward as far as we can, and get to that point where we can safely do that without losing momentum as soon as possible.
I think it makes sense to look at like wireframing tools already, but I'm not sure other things like other non-strictly designed prototyping things make sense at this point.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay. My internet connection's unstable. Okay, thanks. That's that. Does anyone else have any spontaneous inspiration for something?
Let me see if YouTube, if there are any questions.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned InVision. Otherwise,
InVision, right? Yeah, that's also a thing.
Otherwise, nope, nothing else.
Okay.
I was going to raise the subject of timeline because it was briefly touched on last meeting. And at the last meeting, I think from the minutes, all I could tell was that it would be a minimum of 6 months for this project. And people seem to agree with that, if I remember correctly. It's 2 weeks ago. Yeah. I also wonder if while we agreed on the minimum, we should also think of when we do want this to be done. That way it's kind of like my personal experience with projects is it does help to know when things are expected by. So we can kind of adjust what we do and the scope of everything. Thoughts around that? Because I was going to suggest something, but...
So I guess my only concern would be time boxing ourselves too much. We are in the meeting, 6 volunteers, and I believe there's a few others, and limiting, Olivia and I both had 2 weeks where we literally couldn't interact, and so things like that are just time drains and can block interaction, and can actually, if we have a deadline, it can actually make people less encouraged to contribute. So I think having rough, we maybe at the outset of a section, so right now we're doing the information architecture, maybe try to set a time for that, but for the future sections, for design and then implementation, I don't think it's a good idea to necessarily go and start defining or setting a timeline for those when we don't necessarily even know everything that's going to be happening before those. So maybe a good approach would be to, at the beginning of each meeting or each section, try to address, how long do we think this is going to take? And like every meeting or every other meeting, assess if we're in line with that or if we need to adjust it, and then surface that, in the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think certainly leaving every meeting with actionable items that we will be happy with coming back 2 weeks, and we'll when we come back 2 weeks from now, we'll be happy with the velocity.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll be important to keep this on task.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so do we want to I don't know, do we want to go with the estimate thingy where we try to estimate how long it'll take where we try to adjust the estimate on a regular basis, essentially? Which is, I think, what Kenny suggested.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want to go with that?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Does anyone object to it?
Okay, cool. So our current estimation is, I believe, 6 months, was it?
Yeah. So do we want that was our estimation for the entire design
Yeah.
or project. What kind of estimate do we feel like is appropriate for the information architecture work?
Oh, wait, yeah.
I'm gonna raise someone's hands for them. Adam, what do you think? What do you think it's looking like? You've been very involved in it, and you've been doing a really good job. So I'd be curious to get your kind of estimate on how long you think it'll take for us to kind of be content complete on information architecture.
Yeah, I'm going to turn it around and ask another question. What is our deliverable before going into design phase?
It's a very good question.
If it's having every line of content written, which I think wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, especially if we're going through a contractor for design, then we're going to need a little more time than if we're just agreeing on top-level menu items and general content structure.
Mm-hmm.
So my gut reaction for immediate future, like the next 2 weeks, I would be sad if at the next meeting we weren't able to review a not complete but fairly comprehensive wireframe, and at least have some content fleshed out for just V0 of the learn page.
Okay.
Just like top level items, what we want to hit in what order, just to discuss that in a little more detail. So if we're actually getting it done, it would probably be 4 to 6 weeks for full content. And that might be a little generous even.
Okay.
Given our previous velocity. Like it took us 2 weeks. It took us 2 weeks to get a site structure out.
Especially the releases part is quite complex, with a download matrix for LTS and current and the package manager documentation. So I think there's a lot of work to be done there.
Yeah, and especially when we deep dive into that flow, there's a lot of information currently in the download matrix, which is very. Sorry, I'm about to get too in the weeds for this discussion. I think there's improvement to be made for the download matrix to simplify it, but still offer the complexity that we have currently to users who need that. That would be it's a fun little design problem to solve for anybody who's interested in tackling it.
I think that's out of scope for
yes, it is.
the main sort of wireframe thingy though. Okay, cool. So do you have a rough estimation? So like 2 weeks to a month, I'm assuming, for the main sort of.
I think we could probably get it done in 2 weeks. So I think we could say 2 weeks. And that's in the doc now.
Is it?
I created a section at the bottom, a timeline review section. I think we should just have that kind of
Yeah,
as a weekly or every meeting thing we
that
do.
makes sense. Yep. Okay, cool. Then, if no one else has anything to bring up, I believe we're done for today.
Awesome.
Thank you all for attending. Thanks everyone for watching. And we'll see each other again in 2 weeks. 2 weeks time.
Bye.
Bye.